Welcome back to Unlimited Parenting. This is a podcast where we talk about what it's like having children with disabilities and or special health care needs. With me today is me. That's right. It's just me here in this lonely podcast studio. Just Allison, but there's enough to talk about for 3 people. I am here to talk about what's new with IPUL. As you may or may not have noticed, the calendar has turned over. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a new year. 2026 has knocked on the door, and whether we liked it or not, we let him in. And here he is. So, I don't know why it's a man. I don't know, but it's a man. So, this year, we want to get started with our very first podcast, telling you what's new with IPUL. And if you're new here, IPUL stands for Idaho Parents Unlimited. We are the state's Parent Training and Information Center. We are the state's Family-to-Family Health Information Center. We support the state of Idaho through the Resource Services Administration grant, supporting children in transition to adulthood. And now, drumroll please, we are introducing something exciting and important that builds directly onto the work that IPUL has been doing for decades. I hope you're hooked, because I'm not telling you what it is right away. You're going to have to stick around and wait. If you are not new here and you've been connected with IPUL for a while, you already know a few things. Most specifically, that IPUL exists to make sure families and youth don't have to figure things out alone. We are at no cost to provide information, resources, trainings by people who have walked in your shoes. Everyone here at Idaho Parents Unlimited has either a child or a family member who has lived experience with disabilities. For years, Idaho Parents Unlimited has provided parent education and training, individualized support and navigation, youth leadership opportunities, skills that youth can use to go out and get their first job and keep a job, advocacy with education and healthcare, connection, real connection to lived experts, people who get it, people who have walked in your shoes. It's at the heart of everything that we do is lived experience. So, having said that, what's new? That's old. Quit telling me all the old stuff. 2026 is here. What's new? Well, you've waited so patiently. 3 minutes exactly. IPUL has been awarded the Youth Empowerment Services Advocacy, Education, and Support contract through the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare. This will allow us to expand and deepen the support that we already provide to youth with serious emotional disturbance and their families. And here's the really key thing to know, that this isn't exactly a brand new direction for us. It's a natural extension of what IPUL has already been doing. You've already been calling us to ask us to help navigate this. Now we're just going to broaden and deepen that scope. The YES system of care, again, that was Youth Empowerment Services, so children's behavioral health. The YES system of care is built off of principles designed to coordinate services across systems like schools, behavioral health providers, and community supports. And if that sounds familiar, that's because that's a lot of what the Children's Developmental Disability Program is doing. That's a lot of what you're already involved in with the schools, with IEPs, 504s, and coordinating teams this way. So again, this is aligning perfectly with what IPUL has always done and will always continue to do, which is help families understand systems, advocate effectively, and maybe even most importantly, not feel so alone. So what is this actually going to look like, boots on the ground? What does this mean for families? So through this YES contract, IPUL is going to now offer expanded support and activities, as well as more new and improved trainings, specifically to 4 different audiences. For youth, their parents or caregivers, community stakeholders, and even providers. This is going to include support groups designed specifically for caregivers of youth with serious emotional disturbance, SED, or behavioral health needs, and youth-centered support spaces that are meant to be less educational and more connection-based. Additionally, education that helps families understand the YES system of care, services, transitions between different levels of care, transitioning to adulthood, and help navigating difficult moments like maybe hospital discharge or residential transitions. And just like everything else IPUL does, it's going to be at no cost to you. It's going to be family-driven. It's going to be strengths-based. And it's going to be provided to you by someone who has lived experience through these systems. So just to start it right off the bat, IPUL is going to be providing a parent-caregiver connection group that will be meeting, and I use the term meeting in the virtual sense, we'll be meeting virtually on the last Tuesday of every month from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., and that is in the Mountain Time Zone. We recognize that the state of Idaho has 2 time zones, so just want to make it clear that this is in the Mountain Time Zone. And if there is some interest in having it be later, as always, we'd be happy to adapt and change to any feedback that we receive. The Youth Connection Group will meet on the last Wednesday of every month from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Again, virtually, and that 4 to 5 p.m. is in the Mountain Time Zone. You can look for more information on this on our website, and you will also find information on Facebook. So watch out for our updates, because in addition to those connection activities, we will also be providing informational trainings. I think that this is important to know that families don't have to start over. If you've already reached out to IPUL in the past, you're still going to be getting that support that we've always provided to you, just now layered with YES-related education and resources, and new advocacy support on navigating behavioral health systems and new youth leadership opportunities. Everything that you've always loved about IPUL historically is now just being amplified through a new system of service. Because we've said it before, you've heard it before, we're not trying to silo, we're trying to support. We're trying to extend our reach. Because families often tell us that the hardest part isn't just finding services, which we also recognize is hard, but it's also understanding them, coordinating them, and then knowing what to do next. Because all systems of care, not just the YES system of care, can feel overwhelming. So it's nice to know that you can reach out to someone at Idaho Parents Unlimited whose role is to walk alongside families, help to translate the system, and remind you that you're not alone and your voice matters. So aside from the YES, the Youth Empowerment Services Education Advocacy and Support Contract, we also just want to say there's some other new, fun, exciting things that are happening in this first quarter of 2026. So that's January, February, and March. You may already know that we offer quarterly IEP 101 trainings. We just finished one in January. It was very well attended, our highest attended training yet. And there was lots of great feedback and great questions. So if you're listening to this coming hot off the heels of that training, we thank you very much for taking that feedback moving forward. The next one, the next quarterly IEP 101, you can catch on April 9th from 6:30 to 7:30. Again, that's in the Mountain Time Zone, provided virtually. What if your old hat at IEP 101 and your child's been in the IEP system for a while? What about secondary IEP training? We heard you, and we created that for you as well. That's coming on February 12th. Watch out on Facebook and our website. That's ipulidaho.org for more information. My Tools for Life is happening again this year, as it does every year. It's a youth conference, and it will be held in Boise, more specifically at Boise State University, which is very exciting because historically it was held at the Riverside. So the fact that it's at Boise State is going to be super exciting for the youth this year. That is taking place on February 23rd. More information to come about that. and the annual Fred Riggers Disability Awareness Day at the Capitol. This year is taking place on February 4th, and it is starting at 10 a.m. I hear, a little birdie told me, that there might be a super cool exhibit for you to see. So if you have been in years past and you're wondering, my goodness, what are they doing this year? Let me tell you what, it's going to be super new and super exciting. If you want to learn more about IPUL's Yes System of Care supports or upcoming support groups and training or how to get connected, again, visit our website or reach out directly because we're always here to help. If you remember any part of 2025, you may remember that Idaho Parents Unlimited provided regular legislative updates to the community, specifically regarding things that impacted healthcare or education. In 2026, you can also look forward to Idaho Parents Unlimited continuing their legislative season recaps. Those will be provided to you on Thursdays, as they were last year. As you may remember, Idaho Parents Unlimited follows the health committees, the Health and Welfare Committee, as well as the education committees in both the Senate and the House. And we also follow JFAC. So if you hear JFAC, think budgets. You can find those regular updates weekly as well as in our weekly e-news. Thank you so much, everyone out there, for listening in. And know that if you are in Idaho or planning on moving to Idaho and have questions on systems or services for children with disabilities, please consider reaching out to us on our website at IPUL Idaho. That's IPUL Idaho.org. Or by calling us at 208-342-5884. Be sure to tune in next time. Until then, this has been Unlimited Parenting.
Thanks for listening.